The following podcast contains spoilers.
This is the Buntarelli Show.
All right, I'm Joe. I got Bob with me. Bob, we're in chapter 3 right now. I think the pieces are starting to come into play. I think I see what's going on here. I think we're getting ready for like the big showdown. How'd you feel about this episode?
I enjoyed it a lot, but I was very disappointed to see one of our storylines possibly come to an end. I did not see that coming. I was so happy when we got to see that flashback world again. And it came on. I was like, oh, yeah, these guys. I love these guys. And it was like, ah. Oh.
Yeah, that was abrupt because, like, he just said goodbye. They saw him off. He went to go pull a deal off. And then, like, he came back and they were gone. That was it. But I do got a couple theories about like where that's going with his character because first of all, it starts out with Boba Fett catching up on Bib Fortuna's legacy, okay? I think this plays a big part of what's going on because 88 was kind of explaining how like when Bib Fortuna was able to run everything, not being, being a little more of a scumbag, like a little more of a weakling compared to Jabba, and it was, they didn't really zero in on it quite specifically, but what I took of it was like, he had these alliances with the other families, and they said he was lining the mayor's pockets. So what I'm thinking is the theory I'm having is that the mayor is the Barzini of the whole thing. Because it seems like, why are you lining his pockets if he has no real power? But maybe he's a better organizer than Bib was. And as long as Bib got his banquets and got to sit in the throne, he didn't really care. That was the gist, because it seemed like when opportunity came and the Hutts were out and the Pikes came in, he just went along with them real quick. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like more of a politician than a Tony Soprano type.
Yeah, I think he played like the winning hand. So the part that brings the two together is the Pikes, the crime family that showed up at the end, okay, is the same Pikes that were paying the toll on the train.
Oh.
So the whole thing.
Catch that.
Yeah, because I watched it again to make sure. I go, were those Pikes in the beginning? And he actually said the word Pikes because I still haven't got it in my head what they look like with their mask on and off. And they were only they were first introduced in Solo, actually. And then they've shown up in the cartoons and stuff. I was like, let me make sure that's the Pikes before I figure out anything, like think of anything. So I'm like, okay, so this is where the two pieces come into play. So the Pikes are talking about that, the Kenton Striders, that motorcycle gang. And they're saying, well, we're not going to pay you and the Tuskens. So I think I got a couple theories. I think that the Pikes actually wiped out the Sand People and framed the Kenton Striders. Because that would kind of bring the story to a close. Like, bring both parts together, like revenge for the Sand People. Or maybe that'd be a twist that Boba doesn't even know, and maybe he'll find out later. But I went back and watched the Cobb Vanth episode of The Mandalorian because I wanted to see. Remember how Cobb Vanth, some people take over his town? He finds the armor.
The sheriff guy.
Yeah. So I was like, was that the Kenton Striders? Because I thought that might be where Cobb Vanth came in. But I went and looked at it, and it was like a mining guild. So it has nothing to do with that. Because that's still the last piece of the Sand People puzzle is Boba, why does he let Cobb Vanth keep the armor, right? And
I don't know. That's not. Is that related to Sand People? Is that? Well, yeah, because I guess because it's a flashback and it's around. It's just after that, maybe? Yeah,
because he's getting to the point where he's about where, in the flashback part, he's about where we're going to see him in The Mandalorian.
Gotcha.
So
okay.
The last piece of the puzzle is, well, there's two things, because I think they've shown this thing in the trailer, but he has to go get his ship. He has to go somehow know Cobb Vanth has the armor, and he has to find Fennec Shand, because he rescues her after she's shot by somebody in The Mandalorian, right? So I think when those things happen, I think the importance of that is, I think when he gets to Fennec Shand, because Fennec Shand is just like an assassin, but I'm sure she's heard of Boba Fett. So I'm guessing is in that scene, we're going to get a little more of Boba Fett actually explaining what's going on in his head. But I think I've kind of figured out what's going on in his head.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. And I didn't know from not watching the cartoons and stuff, I didn't know a lot of those things, and I'm not knowing that it's going there. But I don't feel lost when I'm watching it, like I did the first episode. That was a little crazy. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
even though I don't know the Pikes from these guys, it's still, I'm following along, and it's still entertaining. And even like I was there's one episode we did, and I was saying like, I don't get it if he's a good guy or he's a bad guy. And I'm watching it today, or not today, but when we watched this episode, he mentioned something about Hitman, and I'm like, oh wait a minute, he was a bounty hunter before, and I'm all getting hung up on like, why is he a crime boss? It's like, well, he kind of was the bad guy in Star Wars, so this isn't like a big stretch.
No,
you know what I mean? And it is starting to, and the crime thing is starting to make more sense. It wasn't just like, okay, he's just a crime boss now, you know, because he took the chair. You know what I mean? It's starting to have a little bit of something to it.
And I think like because some people are saying like, oh, he's getting soft. He's supposed to be the coolest bounty hunter in the galaxy, badass and all that. But the thing was like in the original trilogy, I think I watched a special. He had like 15 minutes of screen time and like 5 lines because that was the cool thing about him, was he was so mysterious. But I'm thinking I think just from what I'm seeing and nothing that's being said, I'm gauging that because Boba Fett had that dramatic experience with the Sarlacc pit, okay? So he kind of like found refuge with the Sand People and was able to kind of reset and just find himself again. But I also think because, he was a bad guy in the quote sense, but like he was going after Han Solo because Han Solo dumped a bunch of Jabba's spice. So he was just collecting a bounty, like Dog the Bounty Hunter. You know what I mean? Someone paid him a bounty. He had a bounty. And the only reason he was with Darth Vader is because they made an arrangement to help each other. He would get Han Solo. They'd use Han Solo to catch Luke, all that stuff. So the whole Empire thing was just like an arrangement. But he was never like...
That's true. And he wasn't trying to kill him. He just captured him.
Yeah, he just captured him, dropped him off. And then even with the Boba thing, even with the, when the big barge happens at the end, it's almost like, so he's fighting a Jedi, a boat explodes, Jabba gets killed, and he's like, all of a sudden he's getting pulled into something that's bigger than him. So I think what it is I think like the crime boss thing is more like, okay, I'm going to be in control. I'm going to decide what I'm doing. And you know what I mean? Like, it's not like I'm a good guy now. I'm not a bounty hunter. It's more like, no, I'm not going to be a bounty hunter anymore because there's nothing in it for, I'm taking these risks for like these little nickel and dime things. Let me almost kind of retire into this crime boss thing because he's skilled enough to do it.
Run it.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to see that a little character development in this one.
Yeah.
Where I was seeing like, okay, he's going to run. He's going to make sure people aren't going to rob people. Like the guy
water
showed
dude
up and he was he's overcharging. Who is he? Stephen Root. I like that guy.
Yeah.
But he was overcharging for the water, so he's like standing up for him. Oh, and speaking of, before you do, what'd you think about the kids that he found? They remind me of Peter Pan's Lost Boys.
Yeah, they were cool. I liked. I was like, and the funny thing was, every time Boba said something to them, they would like say something, and then they'd turn back and they'd say something again. I was waiting for Boba to go, I'm talking to you. Look at me. Stop taking like I have a rocket launcher on my back. Pay me some respect. But and I thought about it too, like the cybernetic attachments and stuff, because you think that technology's there. Like Luke has a metal hand, you know.
Yeah.
So it's like, why wouldn't somebody have thought of weaponizing it? And maybe it's almost like a black market kind of thing that the Empire maybe outlawed. But, kids on the street are just doing it. Like they're going behind alleys and getting it done kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Because it's nothing like real heavy duty. It's just like little enhancements here and there. But it's cool. And then still Boba's got this honor thing because he wants to run things his way. And he's still almost, it's almost like the original way the mafia was supposedly started was because people were people were getting abused by the police and the mafia was offering protection. And then they'd start getting into these crime things, like, not doing it on the line of the law. And I think that's what Boba's like, I run these streets now. I run Mos Espa. So that's what he's just, whether good or bad, not saying he's being completely honorable, but he wants it run his way. And now,
like you said, it's the crime family's word to deal with corrupt cops and everything.
Yeah.
And what's more corrupt than Darth Vader being the government, basically. So yeah, in that sense, it's almost like a rebellion, but not a rebellion. You know what I mean? They're closer to that side than to Darth Vader's side.
Yeah, and then Tatooine's always been kind of like that anyway, because it's like the outer rim. So Tatooine's always had shady stuff going on. And the other part of it is the Empire's gone right now. So right now, this is before the First Order. So it's like, it's still kind of fresh after Return of the Jedi. So it's, there's still like, there's no power. There's still that power vacuum kind of thing going on. Meanwhile, the Empire never really messed with Jabba anyway. They kind of, he's not, I don't know what the exact arrangement was, but, Jabba's on the outskirts. Apparently nobody cared about Tatooine. And, it just kind of ran the way it ran.
Yeah. Even though like there's some heavy hitters coming from there.
Yeah. It's like all the important people are from there, but we don't really pay attention to it. Well, you would think they would have like a post on Tatooine because like there's always something happening around here.
Yeah. Somebody keep an eye on that planet because my God.
Yeah, there's all kinds of movers and shakers over there. The Obi-Wan show is going to take place in the same planet. It's like Tatooine. Nothing happens
There's infinite
here.
planets. There's infinite planets. You couldn't do a show on a different planet.
Yeah.
That's cool. But no, I'd rather see it. Like that was the first thing I thought when I saw the kids. They looked out of place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was like at first I thought it was a little cheesy and it reminded me of 80s movies. You know what I mean? And it just had that look to it, like just some punk rock type thing.
Yeah, like the Lost Boys or something. Yeah.
Yeah, but I got over it quick. I actually watched it. I was skimming through it a second time, and I was like, okay, I'm with it this time. But it just seemed very out of place to me, in this desert.
You just reminded me. Remember last week you said that I don't know if you saw the Facebook post I made, but you said those two people that got attacked by the motorcycle gang. Thought they were somebody?
The article, and I was going to come back to it.
They're supposed to be Luke's friends that were like in a deleted scene from Star Wars. So that was like the first part but they actually do have something because you were like, they had a very specific look. And then you look at the picture of the original actors that was cut out and they almost look identical to them. Like they were cast for that role. So you were right.
Yeah, I knew it because they just seemed planted. It seemed like they took two people from the 70s. Star Wars was actually 1980, wasn't it? Was it 1980 or was it the late 70s?
It was 77, so it was right at the end of the 70s.
Yeah, so I could see like they took someone out of there with their sideburns and all.
Yeah.
And stuck them into this bar. It just looked like a fish out of water type deal.
Yeah, especially because they took the minute to focus on them for some reason. But yeah, that explains it. Because it's just 70s. That's all they were doing. But I was like, no, you were right. Like they showed us for a reason who those guys were.
Yeah.
So Bub was doing his little back to bath dream, and freaking Black. Oh, the name of the Wookiee that you like is Black or Santon. Straight up pulls him out of the tub.
Oh, that was awesome.
And just starts beating the hell out of him.
Cool. Yeah.
So hopefully next episode somebody's guarding the tub. It was
and that was an awesome fight. That was cool.
It was cool.
The guy was huge. It was good.
Yeah, it was cool, and it also showed like the teens were ready for action. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
All right, we're on board. We're here. Now maybe somebody will guard the tub, but it was, and he was like a menace. He's beating up those Gamorrean guards. He's just beating the hell out of everybody. Like whole
when
group.
The guards came in like from the side, and for whatever reason, he just like went after them.
Yeah,
just abandoned Boba Fett. Just jumped down the stairs. That was cool.
I think he was like attacking the immediate threats because he kind of knocked Boba down a peg for a second. And then they have the Hutts. The Hutts show up the next morning. Like, we're sorry.
Yeah,
our
sorry
bad.
about that. Here's a gift. Yeah, please don't. We don't want to fight or nothing. Here, take this. And then they say they were leaving.
Yeah.
He told them to leave the planet, and they says, "Oh well, we were leaving anyway."
Yeah.
Which kind of was like an open-ended something. Like that's I'm sure we're gonna hear about where they're going.
Well, I think the idea is I think the Pikes are actually a lot bigger group than. See, I think the Hutts are a bigger group on now Hutta, but like on Tatooine, they just have their little piece of the pie. But I think the Pikes are like a big deal. I haven't actually seen. I know in Solo they were kind of big, but they just kind of alluded that they were a big deal. But I haven't. But I think now it's shaping up to it's like the Hutts don't want to mess with them, and not because they're afraid of them. They just know it's a big deal. Like it's a war if we go to and also alludes back to the fact that the mayor was kind of running things. Once again, it was Bazzini all along. It was like the mayor already let the Pikes in, So the Hutts are like, it's hard for them to stake their claim and if the Pikes were promised something, so it would be a straight out war. It's not worth it to them, Tatooine. It was just.
Yeah, I like the mayor too. I hope that we see more of him. Like I like the actual.
Yeah, that character
special
is
effects
cool.
of it, or the character. Yeah.
I think as we see him more, I want to see him like say more, refer to more, like maybe talk about his relationship with Jabba and stuff. But yeah, that mayor, the whole mayor thing is really cool. I think he's like going to be like the big bad of the whole thing. Like he's kind of just running, it's like the politician running the pieces. That was something about, and actually Rebel Force Radio did say this, but like the whole thing with the strings with the Godfather was like, it was the politicians pulling the strings. So that's why Marlon Brando goes, I was hoping one day you could pull the strings, like that kind of deal. So anytime we can work Godfather into the podcast is great. He lets Black Chrysanthemum go, which was kind of a shame because I was like, oh man, I was hoping he'd recruit him because he doesn't need to build up his army. But it's still.
Yeah, I didn't think of that.
Yeah, because it's like he's saying, hey, don't work for, and that was a little hint too, where he goes, don't work for Hutts or whatever he referred him to, because I think that's how Boba says that's what got me in this mess. Working with these kind of people.
Maybe he'll get his respect like that. Maybe he'll get his respect and he'll come back.
Yeah, I hope, because he's too cool of a character. Like he needs to come back. And then Danny Trejo is the Rancor trainer.
Yeah. Yep.
So it's been a kind of a slow build up, and we're engaged anyway. So we're like in the show. The show's interesting. So now we're episode 3. And everything's been put into place. And now we got 4 episodes left. So we're still not even halfway through. So I think it's going to start picking up with the action and the stakes and everything. Because I do think you had to put all these pieces together to make it work. Explain this, explain that. Even like the new stuff besides the old stuff. So I think it's going to be a lot of action. Because already Boba's saying, I want to ride this Rancor. So, you could be cool. But are you Boba Fett riding a Rancor, shooting machine guns? Cool, you know what I'm saying?
When they were talking about the Rancor before we seen it, and like they threw someone in there, and they're like, "Oh, we don't really have a Rancor." I thought they were talking about Chewbacca because one of the movies Chewbacca was in one of the cages, and they tossed Solo. That was Solo, right? Yeah, they tossed Solo into the cage. Yeah. So I thought they were thinking Chewbacca for some reason, and then it was funny because the first time they did that scene. And they did that whole thing. I had Chewbacca in my head, and then right after that, the black Chewbacca shows up. So that was kind of funny.
No. The original Rancor it looked the same, even though it was like stop motion. It was the one that like Luke falls in the pit, he sticks the bone in his mouth, and then it almost draws some credence to that too, because when Luke killed the Rancor, there was a guy with a hood that was like crying with the Gamorrean guards, and now. It seemed like a little funny throwaway thing, but now you kind of see the relationship the trainer has with it and everything. Like I'm assuming that was the old trainer of the old Rancor that Luke killed.
Yeah, that's true.
The one that was crying.
Yeah, I thought it was going somewhere shady the way he was talking to the Rancor.
Yeah, like it was a trap.
Pull something. Yeah, like, oh, he's coming back. We'll eat him soon, or something like that.
Well, because I think it's funny the short period of time, like they sent Black Chrysanthemum, and then they realized like they were wrong, like that night, like oops. But they probably also like the crime bosses they are. They're probably like, because Boba was saying we got to make our move, we got to make a statement because people are thinking I'm weak. So the Hutts are probably like, well, he's gonna make a statement, but since we're bailing. We better just wash our hands of this, give him a gift, and just have no bad blood here and get out of here. No, what I mean? Not so much out of fear, but more out of business. Like, okay, this makes us good, right? Because we're jet.
Yeah. That's how I thought it was. But see, I didn't think it was that they did it on accident. I thought that they were asking forgiveness because they failed. I thought it was just like, we tried, you got us, you won, we didn't get you, so instead of killing us here. Take this,
it could
sum of money, or take this.
It could almost go both ways because it was like it was such a small period of time. So what was the truth behind that? But like did they have the Rancor ready? Like, okay, we got something in case it don't work, right?
Yeah.
we hired a trainer, we brought him in.
Yeah.
We got Danny Trejo.
They got 10 of them. Anytime they miss a hit, they just send them. All right, send them a Rancor.
Give him a Rancor.
We really got to get better at this. I'm not made of Rancors.
We got to act together, guys, because we're out of Rancors.
Yeah. That's our last Danny Trejo too. We don't have a clone machine.
Yeah, bunch of Danny Trejo's getting cloned. Yeah. They should have made a clone army out of him. It was like,
yeah. What about some little detail things? What do you think of the cars and the droids? Anything? Anything cool jumping at you?
It's all consistent with that world, you know. So it's like it's Tatooine. Now the cool, like, Mandalorian would show us variations of things. Like if you remember, the Mandalorian had like an R2 unit, but it was like rowing a boat and, you know, acted a little different. But they keep everything kind of very limited Star Wars on Tatooine. Because it's like, this is what you've seen on Tatooine, so we're not going to get too crazy. I did notice something about the huts, because the first time I was like, okay, they look great. They look so much better than, because they brought Jabba in the Phantom Menace when he like announces the race, and then, but before they did that, they brought him back in A New Hope. Like they snuck in that scene where he goes to visit Han, and the first time they did it, he looked
steps
awful.
Over his tail.
Yeah, but he looked awful the first time. Then the second time they did it, they put the CGI model they used from Phantom Menace. They replaced it so it looked better. But here was the thing about it still. It was still Jabba walking around, and we haven't seen him do that in Return of the Jedi. So it's almost like, and I think what they're learning now, because I noticed something about those two huts. I was watching them closer. I was watching their eyes and their face. They don't move any way that the puppet never moved of Jabba. Like, their eyes and even their mouths were like a very simple flapping. It's like they could have been the Jabba puppet. You know what I'm saying? And I think... Yeah,
gotcha. They try to stay consistent with it rather than make a new thing.
Yeah, I think like anytime if you're going to translate something to CGI, you got to make it move like the puppet so you can believe it. You know what I mean? It can't do anything the puppet can't. You know, like Yoda. Like when they brought Yoda back the second time, it was like they, you know, besides the flips and stuff, but it was like at least like his facial expressions. Nah, he was still a little exaggerated too. They could have toned him down, which is probably why they went back to puppet. But I think that's the trick that, okay, here's the thing. So Jon Favreau, right? He also, besides doing his Boba Fett thing, he did a lot of this technology he developed doing The Lion King and like those live action movies and the Jungle Book and stuff.
Yeah.
But he said something about The Lion King, and it was really cool because it's almost like the trick to The Lion King. And just gives you an aspect of how he thinks. Because what he said was, I'm not going to have the lions do anything a real lion wouldn't do. Like, the lions don't smile, they don't cry, they don't frown. You know,
they don't stand up and dance.
Yeah, if they're sad, and they're singing in that movie too. But if they're sad, they just kind of duck their head down. He said it was very important to me. I think that same thing translates to the way he's handling these characters. Is he's saying he's not like the big Star Wars production company. It's Jon Favreau and his team now. So they're making these decisions like, no, it's got to move like a Star Wars character. It's got to look like, because the place looks like you're in straight up New Hope world. You know, with a little Phantom Menace thrown in there. But it looks like consistent with what George Lucas was doing.
Yeah, you know, I never thought CGI when I seen the huts.
Exactly.
You know, and a lot of characters you do. You know, it happens in a lot of new things and a lot of new big budget things. Yeah. And, you know, even for a TV show, and Jabba's always so cheesy looking. Yeah. I didn't think that at all. And he didn't even have like that cheesy puppet look. Now, you know what would have been funny? Is if when Yoda, the one movie where Yoda did the whole fighting thing and the flips thing, they should have went that direction instead and did it like the Muppets, where they just like throw them, and like you see like the black strings and everything.
that's you just see him like the old Kermit the Frog running with the broomstick. Like, hey guys, like you just see Yoda running with a lightsaber. That almost would have been a more fun fight.
That would have been well worth it.
And then Palpatine just swings him around and throws him into a fan. because they've kind of set us up with this hut thing in this background, if they do the route, which nobody's hinting at, but he is on Tatooine, now they could show us Jabba in the Obi-Wan series, and I have the confidence that they can handle it, and they can make him, even if he's completely CGI, he's going to look like he'll be consistent, and you'll believe he's Jabba, and maybe expand on it a little bit. But it's nice to know that like guys are thinking like that. They're saying, okay, this worked, this didn't work. Let's find our happy medium on things.
Yeah, that's a perfect rule. It's like they only do what the characters can do. Don't add anything new to it. Jabba couldn't walk before; he was just in a chair, so just put him back in the chair. He wasn't a slug running around talking to people.
Yeah, because even like the race, you see how slow he was in the movie, but how did he get there? But now you can just imagine in your head, well, a bunch of people carried him there on something. But had they thought back then, yeah, he should have been carried out on something. But that's but it's a better way to look at it. Like, okay, they are slow movers. Here's how they get around.
Yeah. Speaking of the car chase, I did not care for. It was like a slow speed chase. I didn't get it. I don't know. There was something about how it was shot. It's like a high speed chase, except people are like walking as fast as the cars are driving.
Yeah.
It was just an error. Like it seemed like just a boo-boo in special effects or something, but what's going on here?
It almost seemed like, okay, we got to have an action scene. So like, let's do a car chase, but it was like a very low stakes. Like we already showed that the teenager's pretty cool. You should have had just Boba straight up, because Boba lands with his jetpack. Why don't you just have Boba weaving through the town trying to keep up with a car? Like, that would have been pretty cool. That would have been a lot cooler. Yeah. We already saw that the teenagers are capable.
Yeah, and they even had, like, the people walking across the street with the glass.
Picture. Yeah, the old joke.
Yeah, I was like, I'm like, are they serious with this?
Yeah.
It's a little comic relief, I guess. It was funny, though, when he waved the one droid on, and then the droid kicked it in high gear. Yeah. That was pretty funny.
No, you're right. That whole scene was a little like, it's like, oh, we better do something. And then they were just like, it wasn't the greatest.
And the car in that scene. Yeah, and that car from that scene was in something else. I've seen that car before. I don't know if it was maybe it just looks like something else I've seen, but I swear that was in one of the Star Wars movies or something.
In A New Hope, Luke drives a speeder like that. So that's like your standard Tatooine speeder.
Car.
Yeah, like Mandalorian's been in one a couple times, and it's just the normal speeder. Whether it was the exact, I doubt it was the exact one, but it's the same kind of car. Same one that Obi-Wan and Luke take with the droids to go to Mos Eisley. So it's another consistent like Tatooine vehicle. Like I said, everything's shaping up for next episode. Bob, I want to thank you for being here.
Yep, good to be here.
And we will see you guys.